Good morning. We are coming to you not live from Vitiate's studio in his home in Brooklyn, New York. What is the primary focus of this record, Inspired by Pain?
When I was doing the last record, I was just trying to I had the same mentality I had when I was 14 with that record. And that was to just kind of do a song for everyone. And I realized that that wouldn't even be possible at this point. So I found a new market, the underground market, and I just tried to develop that with the hardcore stuff, with the personal stuff, with the in between, how I felt about the music kind of songs. And after that, I just realized that it wasn't working. It wasn't reaching the people that I wanted it to reach. And then Autistic kind of just went its own way. Dan promoted it heavily, I promoted it heavily. The response was incredible to it. And I realized that that's what I wanted to do. That was one of my favorite songs on that record to make to begin with. So why not do a whole album just like I did that song? Just personal stuff, stuff from the heart, stuff that people may or may not be able to relate to, but people should understand. And that's where I'm coming from with that.
Okay, good. How long did it take to finish the record?
Oh, fuck, like
2 years.
2.5 years at this point. I mean, the first song I wrote for it, I've had the concepts for a long time, but I got the instrumental for All of Me a long time ago. And, I knew what I wanted to use it for, I knew what the potential was, I knew that it could be something right in the vein of what I was looking for. But I just sat on it for a while because I knew where I wanted to go with it, but I didn't know what state of mind I could execute it in properly. So, like 2 years ago, I was on a bus to see you actually, and I had the beat on my phone, and I was like, "Fuck it, I have to use this at this point." And it was perfect mind state, perfect mentality. It's one of the first trips that I went to see you on, and it recorded it. I had to record it like 4 or 5 times to get it right. So it's been like 2 years in the making at this point.
I was right. I could have answered that.
I mean, maybe.
You're much more eloquent since it is your album. Did you feel uncomfortable putting any of this down on record?
Some of the songs were pretty hard to do. I mean, when I did All I Got, it was probably the hardest song to record. And I think I even mentioned that in the outro, where writing it, I was just a mess emotionally. Didn't know where I was going to go past this point. That's another beat that when I got it, I sat on it for a while. No idea what I planned on doing with it. I didn't even ask for the sample either. Nate just sent me the sample and I sat on it for a while. But then after we broke up, I was just like, shit, this is what I have to use that for.
Is that why you were an emotional wreck, my dear?
Okay. No, it was just like everything that had happened after the time. Actually, me and you were broken up for
a few weeks.
Maybe even a month at that point. And the whole thing with X went down. And after me and her just stopped talking, I was like, alright, I already had penned the first verse and what would become the third verse. But after that, that was just kind of the thing that set the second verse in motion. I switched out the second and the third, and it was, I still think it's top 3 song that I've ever done. and it was very hard to record. It was very emotional. It was very soulful. Some parts of Inner Demons, I almost lost my shit there a few times. Addicted, trying to keep that voice together the whole time was difficult to do. As far as writing, I'm down to write anything. I'm comfortable writing everything. But when it comes to recording, saying this stuff out loud kind of takes on a whole different toll for it. And that was kind of difficult.
Why the desire for so many videos? This is probably going to be my favorite question because you have a notebook just full of you have that notebook just full of videos that he wants to do and video ideas for what he wants to do for each of them. And he's like,
to-do list.
Yeah, it's over 10 videos that's still on the to-do list. He wants to do so much and he's always like, okay babe, we have to film this and then this, and I'm just like, oh my god, please, like, why so many? So, why
so many? I don't even think it was Clozapine that wrote that question. I think you might have snuck that in there.
I don't think so, because you wrote that down. I don't remember having anything to do with these questions, so you can't pin this one on me.
It was either you, B-Rhymez, or Clozapine. But as far as business models go, the business model I respect the most and I look up to the most is the Strange Music business model. And this is a company that's been in existence for about over 20 years now. They put out so many great records by so many great artists, and they're totally independent. And that's the business model that I aspire to. So when I went into this record, I was just thinking, how can I model my company to be similar? How can I model my company to follow the same path of success that theirs did? And I was reading an interview with Chris Calico, and he said that the label only wanted him to put out 2 videos for the Son of Sam album. And he didn't like that idea because he liked doing videos or whatever. So him and his interns stole a camera, one of those big-ass red cameras, and they did 6, 7, or 8 videos off the album, and the sales were just much higher than expected. The sales were, I think they were projected to be, let's say, 56,000, and they sold 85. And, a lot of people attribute that to the videos, to the creativity, to the fact that the visuals are there. And if you just look at the songs throughout history that have been popular, ever since 70s and 80s, Bee Gees, Staying Alive, that video was extremely popular at the time. Michael Jackson's Thriller, which was made into a short film. I mean, if you think popular music and successful music, you see that the visuals are usually there, especially in this generation. I mean, every single has a video. There's no more maxi singles where you put out a song, an acapella, and instrumental, and that's what people want. Nowadays, you put out a song with a video, and that's what people want. And right now, I'm doing all these videos to kind of find where I'm comfortable at and what songs deserve videos, and I'm using it as practice, She's doing all the filming, I'm doing all the editing. There's a lot that needs to be worked on, a lot that needs to be practiced, and I think I get that when I make all these videos.
Okay, follow-up question that's not on the list. Do you ever fear that you're putting all this effort into making these videos in vain? Because I know that promotion is very difficult and it's frustrating because I see you on Facebook, I see you on Tumblr, I see you all over the place just promoting everything, and it sometimes feels like people are not giving your music the attention it deserves, especially when both of us, we work really hard to put out a video of high quality. I mean, Of course, I don't have this big fancy film camera. I just have my DSLR, which does film HD video, but you know, it's not the same thing. Um, but we do the best that we can with what we have, and the end result is pretty good. But, you know, do you ever fear that it's all for nothing?
Of course I do. I mean, I'm an artist. Of course I feel like it's a waste of time sometimes. But, you know, it's all a long-term investment. The thing about these videos that I'm really starting to come to realize now is that they don't go away. I mean, I could delete them if I wanted to, and I had to clean out my catalog because I don't think that a lot of my older stuff was up to par. A lot of the mixtape stuff, a lot of the pre-euthanasia stuff, I don't feel like it was up to par at all. And now that I'm promoting heavily, seeing the numbers go up a little bit day by day, and it's very frustrating because the first 24 hours I get 100 views, next 36 hours after that I get 100 more, then it feels like everything just comes to a standstill, video-wise. And, you know, as an artist that's frustrating, but I also have to remember where I am. You know, I'm in an oversaturated market. I'm in a place where the money is buying the promotion and the people with the connections are the ones who are really making it, so to say. You know, it's just a matter of patience, a matter of time, maybe a little bit different promotion. I'm going to be doing everything I can to really push this record far, and I'm hoping that the people in my circle will be willing to help me do that so we could just achieve this thing so much faster.
Very, very good answer. I think I had something in my head. Yes, yes. Um, what makes you, what was the question that I was going to ask? I don't know how to phrase it correctly. What makes you feel that a certain song deserves a video?
Well, most of the time what I base it on is accessibility. And even then I would do a lyric video if the song itself isn't accessible. And by that I mean, like, let's take Outkast off Inspired by Pain. Reason that has a lyric video coming and not a full-fledged video is I'm not really going to drive up to New Hampshire, meet up with Reza Silverback and say, alright, you know, let's get it done. You know, that's what it is right now. As for the future, you know, just kind of what has the potential to really do things on YouTube. And it's frustrating because I believe Save 5 Points would have been a video that really pushed me over the top. But the legal team didn't get back to me in time. Um, and the whole place was whitewashed.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah, a few weeks ago it was whitewashed. It's going to be demolished soon. And if I would have gotten that video there, I could have gotten support for the place, could have raised money for the place, I could have got promotion myself, I could have been, you know, I could have really put my name into the New York scene, but it wasn't meant to be for whatever reason. So, you know, as for what's coming up, I don't know how I'm going to select the videos, but I'm going to try to focus on songs that could really stand out. You know, everybody does the shit in front of the graffiti wall. You know, I'm gonna try to move away from that. Exactly, I did that once. And I'm gonna try to move away from that going forward and, you know, not just be another rap video to be clicked on. Something that people want to be drawn into.
Okay. How do the collabs fit into this album?
I was a lot more selective this time around.
Thank God.
If you look at the white track list, it looks like fucking Vitiate Collabos Volume 1. I mean, I pulled in people I didn't even know for that record. And then there were the tracks with big names that were just oversaturated. I mean, don't get me wrong, Formaldehyde, Anonymous, BK, they all killed flamethrowers. They fucking destroyed that shit. But nobody wants to look at a title this big full of collabs, especially when the people aren't that well known. Same thing with Great Whites. Pulled in Diabolic, Dan Bull, Copyright. But then I also pulled in the underground people, Anonymous, Clive Craven, and I felt like if I would have just made it, let's say, Diabolic, Copyright, Dan Bull, BK, Apathy, and fucking Logic, then it would have been more of a hit because every name is known, every name is big, but I just was pulling in people for no real reason other than to have people. And I realized that was definitely the wrong way to go. And this record came around, I looked at my options, and I saw, alright, here are my ideas. Are there going to be people that fit these ideas? When I did Illness was basically a sequel to Autistic. I didn't want to get Dan again though. So, I was talking to some friends of mine. They recommended this dude Morbid Complex. And he's an amazing artist. And he has, some kind of mental illnesses just like I do. We sat down, worked it out, and it's a great song. That's going to have a video too. And it's going to be a great song on the record. Reza Silverback, he's, a lot of times in his music talking about being that outcast who's a step above in music. Not an outcast musically, but just, just someone who's not really with the norm. That's why I pulled him in on that, on his own production at that. And then the big names, Cage and Chino XL, I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. I didn't get Cage on some drug shit like anybody else would have. I got him on something a little more personal. Same with Chino. If you look at all these Chino XL tracks, it's all people featuring him doing the punchline bars. And it's just like a bunch of angry battle rappers who found a beat and then paid Chino XL. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to put him on something, like, I think the best songs on his album were like Regarding Elizabeth and things like that. So I wanted to get him on something like that, and I did. And then, I got the Vitiated Records roster on there. Got Clozapine on Loner, which he was perfect on. I got B-Rhymez on Not Like That, which perfect for what he was going through musically at the time. I got N95 doing the production on Addicted. And I still think that's his best beat, even though he thinks I'm an asshole for thinking that. I don't give a fuck. And that's it. Everything just came together perfectly for that, as far as the features go.
What's the deal with the documentary?
Clozapine, me and him were talking, spoke about marketing, spoke about promotion. He said, sometimes people want more than music. Thought about it. The documentary is more than music because it shows the side that I'm trying to convey through the music. Any underground rapper could put together an album. It could be God's gift to earth, or it could be a pile of shit. But most of the time there's no human factor in it. And that's what I'm bringing to the table, not only with my music, but with the documentary. I'm bringing the factor of this is what happens behind the scenes. This is how I feel. This is footage of me 5 minutes after I lost my job. Shit like that. And, it's things like that that make these records something that people want to listen to. Because they know the story behind it, they know the struggle behind it, they know what it's like to be in that person's shoes. And some people just like the information. Some people just like the non-musical side of it. What really happens while you're working on a record. And that's why I kind of went with the documentary.
How did you create the track list?
I just kind of really took in what songs I wanted to do, what was really speaking to me more and what I felt like would speak to other people more. The ones that really stood out as not only good musically, but ones that people could definitely, if not totally relate to, definitely empathize with. And a lot of the songs, that's just kind of how I picked the criteria. I'm not going to use all the ones that I recorded for it. I might put them out later as an EP. But as for this record, just everything that I felt like was good at conveying the messages that I wanted to the listener.
Why the personal direction? What message do you want to convey?
Personal direction, just, I saw what happened with Autistic, saw the response to it, people were saying that I changed their lives with that song. So, I was thinking along the lines of, well, what if I do an album like that? That's kind of how it went down. I had a lot of personal stuff to write about, so I put it down, found the instrumentals, I worked closely with Nate on those. We really just put together a solid record that, as for messages I'm trying to convey, I'm not trying to preach anything, I'm not trying to, show people what it is, but I'm trying to help them understand what it is and what other people are going through. And if there's one thing I guess I'm trying to convey, it's that the other side is a lot different. And that's basically...
Now that you're wrapping up the album and getting it ready for release, how do you feel about it?
I love that album. I love it. Of course I'm going to say that because it's mine, but, as I was writing these songs, I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. As I was recording these songs, I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. When, the final mixes were done, oh shit, that's crazy. That's just kind of how it was, and there's a lot that I had to do with it, a lot that I had to put out, and I'm proud of every single song. I love every single song. I love the album as a whole. I still listen to the references. I just keep playing everything back in order, making sure everything goes together, making sure the album as a whole is a good package, and I couldn't be more happy with what came out of it.
What exactly is the pain that inspired this album?
There's a lot of stuff, there's a million things that can be defined as pain, and it's all subjective. So I was really going for the ones that I felt that other people could feel. As I was wrapping up this album, Vinny Paz put out that Is Happiness Just a Word record with Yes Alexander. And that shit, that's exactly what I was going for with a lot of these songs too. Illness, it's a song about mental disease, how it affects the day-to-day person, how isolation affects a person, how being an outcast, how heartbreak, long-distance relationships, the pain of being in music, and just, how frustrating it is. I had so much to say, and as far as pain goes, I've pretty much said it all.
Am I the biggest pain in the butt?
Obviously.
No, I'm not. What would you tell your future fans and listeners?
If someone goes at me online, do not call them a hater. I fucking despise that. Just spread the music, spread the message, show other people what I'm trying to do, and if I'm fucking up, let me know. If I put out a song and you think that, trying to make money with it, from, You know, if you feel like that I'm really pushing you guys away as fans, if anything like that, just tell me you're fucking up. I don't want a bunch of yes men around me. I want people to tell me, you know, your music isn't as good as it was, fix it. Because that's one of my main things. I want to make music that will last. I want to make great music. I don't want commercial music. I don't want necessarily the most successful music. I want to make great music. So if I'm fucking up, let me know. If someone isn't feeling me, that's fine. You know, I'm definitely not for everyone. Not at all. If, you know, someone's attacking me, you don't have to defend me. You don't have to swear an oath of loyalty to me and sacrifice babies. Just, you know, keep enjoying what I put out and let me know if I'm fucking up. And show other people. And while other people might not like me, there might be one person who will buy a shirt and that $20 will help me make rent for that month. That's, you know, that's kind of all I'm really looking for at this point. So, that's it. Just enjoy the music. Let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and spread and support.
Has the album helped you realize some conflicts within yourself, and if yes, how so?
I feel like it has. I mean, Inner Demons that's what the song was about. It was about, you know, emotional conflict, um, about guilt, cheating on one of my exes. That's the opening line. Um, all the things that I've done as a person that I'm not necessarily proud of. There's there's a lot of that, and I find that kind of throughout the record. You know, other conflicts, smaller, like, do I really want to say this? Do I really want to put this out there? And at the end of the day, it was always yes. You know, I never put a song away and never took out a line that I felt was too personal. You know, there's no line that I wouldn't be willing to cross for the sake of the music and for the sake of keeping it completely real and completely genuine. You know, inner conflict, you know, I helped me discover some things from my past, but pertaining exactly to the record, no, not a lot, but yes, it was some was present.
Where did you record the album, and what equipment did you use? Before you start, he recorded it right here in this little room, this little studio here. He has a big setup, stereo speakers here. He has the the Apollo. I'm sorry, you put the Avalon thing in my head so much.
Because I want it.
Yes, the Apollo, the Pro Channel, and the thing on the bottom, I forgot what that was. Yeah.
I have all that. I didn't use any of it. I used this piece of shit, you know, Fast Track, with Pro Tools SE and Sterling Audio ST51 microphone. And that's what made this record, which blows my mind how the fuck I managed to do that. Because I'm running Pro Tools on this computer here, the SE i3, shitty RAM, shitty processing. There'd be an error like every 15 minutes. B-Rhymez would come out of the studio, he'd go into that room over there, he'd start fucking yelling at me to get my computer fixed before he stopped recording. It was a fucking nightmare just recording on the setup. And now, after the record is over, I have Rocket 8, Apollo 16, ART Pro Channel 2, CS250, Samson C Control. I'm gonna get probably a Neumann TLM 102 or 103, haven't decided yet, or Rode NT1A. I'm gonna get an Avalon. I'm gonna get a Manley Massive Passive, the Avalon 2022. I'm gonna get all these plugins that come with the Apollo stuff, all the UAD plugins. I'm gonna get a Tube Tech, probably C1, no, C2LA. I'm gonna get C2LA, I want the stereo. Shadow Hill's mastering compressor when it comes time for it. I mean, this is what I'm gonna do moving forward. For this record, I just had the one mic, the one preamp, if you want to call it that, Pro Tools SE, and I said, let's go. Moving forward, you know, I'm going to look back on that and say, how did I do it? Right now I'm doing that, but, you know, it's all done here. Everything was done here.
Because you're cool.
I know.
Oh. I was making faces at the camera the whole time you were talking about the... Okay, from here on out, where do you plan to go with your music?
Putting a lot of thought into it, especially the last few days. Most likely what I'm going to do, I have a bunch of EPs I'm going to put out. One collab EP with Clozapine, one collab EP with N95, and past that point, I don't even know anymore. I mean, I wanted to do another record, but I feel like that promoting this record and my last one are much more important than that. And now that I'm taking up engineering, I feel like that's more important as well. So from this point out, I might be focusing a lot more on my engineering work, and, you know, perfecting my mix and perfecting my craft. And I might put out a couple EPs, but as far as another album goes, maybe 4 years down the line, I'll open that back up. Still be writing, you know, of course. And I gotta focus on the label. I got N95 fucking telling me he wants to crank out another project every 2 months. I can't keep up with that shit. I got Clozapine working on 2 EPs right now. I got myself working on these EPs. And, you know, I'm head engineer right now. I gotta mix all this stuff. Is it gonna be difficult? Yeah, it'll be difficult. But myself musically, I'm gonna stay true to exactly what I'm doing, exactly the formula that I think makes me unique. And even if it takes years for another album, I think it'll be time well spent. And that's the end of it.
And that's all, folks. No, that wraps up the interview. Yeah. So if you just sat through that, we thank you, and we hope that you will continue supporting Vitiate and Vitiated Records, and all underground hip-hop artists that stay true to their craft and speak on personal matters and not just the stereotypical drugs on the street type of stuff. So this is a real man right here. I love him. Okay, yeah, I'm done. Bye.